Hey, my beautiful bitches, it's me, Fiona St. James, and welcome to another episode of Fiona's Coffee Talks. And as always, I like to start off every morning or afternoon with a fresh hot cup of coffee. Hold the cream! I'd love to. So, first thing I want to do is start off by saying that today is Monday, March 30th, 2020. It is 4:45 in the afternoon. Now, the reason I wanted to say this is because I realized the other day that a lot of times I shoot videos well in advance. Like I always have about 4 or 5 weeks in the can ready to go. And if you look at the details of the video, of course, it shows the date that it's published, which is when it actually posts. But if you dig further into it, it actually shows you the recording date. I don't know how many people actually will do that. So I've come to the realization that it makes sense for me at the beginning of every video to state the date and the time just to make it all complete so that you realize that, you might be watching something on a certain date that was filmed well in advance. And really what prompted me to do that is because the last video that hopefully you saw was titled Life These Days. And I actually shot that probably like a month ago. And I realized, I was like, well, when they see it, which will be tomorrow, March 31st, a lot has happened from the time that I shot that video until now. The most important thing, of course, being the whole coronavirus, which I did actually shoot 2 videos about a week ago, and I posted them last week on Tuesday and Friday. So hopefully you guys have seen those as well. So I want to touch on that also. The second part of the 2 videos that I did something that I ordinarily don't do, which was I got a little political, which I think we're all political to a certain degree, but I've always made it a point to say that I don't want my YouTube channel to have any politics whatsoever. But it just so happened that that particular topic, it was a little hard not to. So I'm not going to, revisit that. Just watch the video and you'll see. But the reason that I wanted to point that out was because a friend of mine who saw the video, he commented to me, he was like, well, but you got like kind of political, which isn't really your thing. He said, you're not really a political person. Well, it's not that I'm not a political person, but as I said, I've always wanted to make it a point to leave politics out of this channel. But like I said, I kind of felt like I had to. And of course, people will take from your video what they take from it, because the video was probably like a good 17 minutes. And I'd say maybe the first 5-6 minutes I was, speaking about the political aspect of that. And of course, my friend was like, oh, your whole video was political. And I was like, actually, no, it wasn't. But that's fine. That's his opinion. But it just kind of got me to think about that, because even before I posted that video, I was sort of on the fence. And I almost kind of felt like I should reshoot it and not get into that aspect of it. But, I've said early on when I first launched this channel that anytime I shoot anything, I will always post it, and I never want to reshoot anything, because I think the first take is what I'm actually feeling. And because, let's keep it real, my life is an open book, and I'm honest about what I do and how I think and what I feel. It was important for me to not go back and do that. So that was the whole thing behind that. The other comment that this friend made, who I hold in very high regard, which is why I'm even bringing it up, I had made an analogy. Let me backtrack. On Facebook, there were all of these postings where people were comparing COVID-19 to the AIDS epidemic, when that first hit way back when. And so my friend thought that I didn't go deep enough into that. And I mean, I probably didn't, but here's the whole thing with that. Yeah, like the analogy of the two is that, here we have this pandemic, and the AIDS epidemic was, a huge thing. And, the big difference is that when AIDS first hit, which was really like the late 70s or like 79 or so, they were calling it the gay cancer. And because only gay men were getting it, it wasn't even called AIDS, it was called GRID, gay-related immune deficiency. But then once like 84, 85 hit, where suddenly, rock cuts in and heterosexuals started getting it, then all of a sudden, the government cared. So I also, in that video, when I brought that up, I had already said, that's it, I'm not going to talk about politics anymore. But, politically speaking, that was the analogy is such that, we lost a lot of people to that epidemic, and, we're losing people with this coronavirus. I'm not going to compare numbers, anything like that. The bottom line is losing anyone to anything in large numbers is horrible. And it's interesting, though, because with all of this that's going on now, it did sort of bring me to a place where it made me think about that. And it just kind of brought me back to like the early 80s when I was losing all of my friends. And, now we're all starting to lose people. So in that regard, it's not pleasant either way you look at it. It's horrible. Thank God that even though I kind of feel like they took a minute to act upon it, at least they acted upon it a hell of a lot sooner than they did back then. So, but the analogy there is that either way, lives are being lost, and I think many more lives were lost and are still being lost with the AIDS epidemic. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So my life, as it were, I did mention in the video that hopefully you just saw that how I had injured my ankle, and I was, which in turn, like, I was bedridden for weeks and weeks. And then, being in my bed with my leg elevated and my neck like that on my computer, I ended up screwing up my neck. I ended up getting inner ear vertigo. So from pretty much December 1st through March 1st, those few months which was pretty much when I started this channel, I was dealing with all of that. And, the vertigo part was horrible, because there were many a times that I felt like I would just be sitting there and suddenly I'd be like, whoa. So, there were a lot of days that I was not necessarily feeling up to par, and it was hard to get motivated to do anything. It was a bit debilitating, but you got through it. I got through it, because really what other choice did I have? And I was, still going out there and doing what I can do. It was the sad part about all of that was there were a lot of things that I couldn't do. So, like, different social events, or friends having things I ended up missing because I couldn't really go because of that. So that part of it was kind of screwed up. In terms of what's going on today with that, I'm totally over that, so I'm fine. And, it's a bit ironic because I went through like these few months of like not being able to do too much. And then suddenly I was like, okay, I'm fine. I could go out and do things. And, the month of March was supposed to be like action-packed for me. I was supposed to be in Palm Springs from March 18th through the 25th. Obviously, that didn't happen. This past weekend was supposed to be the Imperial Court of New York's annual Night of 1,000 Gowns. That obviously didn't happen. And then also I'm not going to spill the beans, but there was a particular topic that I was going to do for this channel that would have brought me out on the streets as opposed to in my apartment. That's not going to happen. So, it was sort of like, wow, that kind of sucks. Like, finally I was able to do things, and then I had all these plans, and then suddenly I've not been able to do them. But my therapist, I started seeing a psychotherapist a couple of months ago, and so I see him every Friday, and in light of everything that's going on, we do these sessions now every Friday via video, WhatsApp. And I was mentioning this to him when we saw each other this past Friday, and he reminded me of something, which was, he was like, well, when all of this is over, who's to say that you still can't do that? And I was like, oh, duh, yeah. Because I was so quick to just automatically think, well, this sucks. Like, I had these plans and now I can't do them. Well, it's not that I can't do them. They've just been postponed. I can, once all the dust settles, I will go to Palm Springs. Night of a Thousand Gowns will happen. And when it does, I will be there. And this particular little series that I want to do for this channel, I will do it, but obviously I can't do it now. So, that was a reminder of, it's not that suddenly you can't do things, just everything is postponed. I'm so quick to think everything is canceled, but that's really not the case. So that was sort of like made me feel good that he reminded me of that. And I was like, yeah, that's like such a simple thing that I didn't think of, and I've been doing the self-quarantining thing. I've been doing my exercises, watching what I eat, working on this channel, doing stuff on the computer, reading books. And the one thing that I want to say that's actually been quite wonderful through this whole experience is on social media and on Facebook in particular. I've noticed it in the last few weeks. I've gotten so many more friend requests of people where we have mutual friends. And I've been guilty too of seeing where suddenly there are people that we have hundreds of mutual friends, and I've been sending out friend requests as well. So there's been this wonderful kind of sense of unity where people are home and reaching out. And I think it's human nature to not want to feel alone. And that I think having the platform of Facebook or social media where you can actually connect is quite wonderful. So, I've gotten more friends and people that I've been chatting with or doing video calls with. And so it's been quite lovely because it makes you not feel so alone. And look, let's keep it real. When I was injured and I couldn't go out, that was sad because life is still happening outside of this apartment, but I felt like I was missing out on it because I couldn't physically do anything. So, if there's any comfort in knowing that if I'm home and not being able to go out and do things, at least we're all in the same boat. So we have this platform of videos or communicating or talking or, taking webinars or people just, having these virtual little dinner parties. I think all of that is great. So if nothing more, if what I can get out of this whole experience is my own personal growth and self-reflection and working on myself and, bettering myself and communicating with people that maybe I haven't spoken to in a while, that's happened as well, where suddenly I'm finding myself reaching out to people that I haven't spoken to in forever and vice versa. And that part of it, I think, is quite lovely because I think that if this were not going on and we were all leading our busy lives, then I think something like that would not be happening like it is, at least in my life. So I'm appreciative for that and grateful for the friends and family that I have and the fact that I've been more in contact with them. So, and last but not least, I have said this time and time again, but I really believe that in the end, whatever path I end up going down or whatever ends up happening with me, that's the journey that I'm supposed to be on, because I have always said and always will say, the universe only throws your way what you can actually handle. So knock on wood, I'm fine and I'm being as smart as I can be, but there's no guarantees with anything. That's the only reality in life, is that there are no guarantees, but I'm being smart about it, and hopefully I will continue to be fine. And in the interim, I'm going to seize this opportunity to just continue doing what I've been doing. And when all is said and done, this will all be over and things will go back to normal. And like a phoenix, we will all rise up bigger and better than ever. So that's the positive thought for this. Let's all take advantage of, being the best that we can be, so that when we do go back out there in the world, we're that much better equipped for it. So that's my 2 cents. As always, thank you so much for being here with me and tuning in and subscribing, and take care of yourselves. Be safe. And I can't wait to see everyone again in person. Signing off. Thanks so much, guys. Love you.